Hi everyone. I haven't posted in a while, so it's just been very busy. I'm sure you guys all are busy, so um, but let me not waste your time. Today I want to talk about the Lon Fuller, which is a legal theorist and philosopher. He wrote many essays on separation between laws and morality. There's a one hypothetical case that I want to talk to you that he presents, and he presents all these different arguments in terms of interpreting the law. How should we interpret the law? Should we look at what the intentions are of the legislature? Or should we just interpret the law as it's written? And but before I go into the hypothetical case, which is called Speluncean explorers, and the case, just to give you a little background, is about this explorers, they go in this cave, and they are deep down in the cave, and things just, the cave closes, there's like a landslide, and these explorers are stuck inside, and they cannot be gotten out until over a month. And the question is how they're going to survive. And so the question is by the time they get out, what means or how can they survive because they're going to starve. They're going to be there more than 30 days, that they got the confirmation through the radio that they are stuck in there, or walkie-talkie as we say. So now the question is, how does the law, whatever that they do in there, how does the law apply? Is the law the same just because they're stuck in a cave, they're deep down on the ground and they can't get out? There's no access, the people cannot help them. It's going to take a long time to get the machines and to dig everything out. Now they are stuck in a cave. They don't have food, they don't have any rations, and there becomes a very interesting point. They roll a dice, and to see who this guy, one of the explorers decides, well, let's roll the dice and see whoever loses, we're going to have to end up eating that person. Well, the guy that came up with the idea, that's what happens to him. The explorers, they end up, because there is only way to survive, they end up, we're talking about cannibalism, and they eat him in the cave. But now this does not really happen. This is a hypothetical case. Now, can we prosecute these explorers for murder of this man who played the dice, came up with the idea, and it backfired, and he ended up being burnt, murdered, and eaten, and all that stuff? The question is, does the law apply there, and what law should apply there? Because they are far from the society, right? This is not where the society can reach them and help them, send them the food or anything like that. That was beyond their help. And so it becomes the question, how should we apply the law the way we would apply the law if that happened and they were not in cave, and this just happened out in the open? But before I go and what Lon Fuller discusses here, before I go into that case, I just want to give some background. And I talked about philosophy of law. Now we know natural law and we have a positive law. But before we even go to that, we have to take a step back and look the 17th, 18th century debate between Hobbes, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and what they interpreted as to be state of the society and what happens to be the state of nature. So if we are, Rousseau argued, and if in a social contract and in a meal, and especially in a social contract where it says, if we are in a state of nature, we are the most free. But we are not protected, meaning we are free. We are out in the wild, and it doesn't have to be a wild, but we are in a state of nature where everybody kind of fights off and preserves, whoever. The idea is like, not, I wouldn't say survival of the fittest, but you are free. If you fit, you'll survive. And I do not want to apply Darwinism and social Darwinism the way it was interpreted in Germany during 20th century, early 19th century, and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being free in a society. Not in a society, but in a state of nature. Now, in state of society, Rousseau says no. He says man is actually not free because he has to follow all these laws. He has to do all this. He's never free. The government is telling him what to do, and he's not free. While Hobbes opposes that. He says humans are such a dangerous beings that we need to have the law. And in fact, we have to have a sovereign, a king, who cannot be taken the power away from. Whatever the sovereign decides, whatever the king decides, that goes. And subjects cannot question that. Now, we also have to understand that Hobbes comes from a civil war turmoil. And so for him, state of nature is just crazy. It's a total disaster for human beings to live in. They're better off in a state of society, and they're better off living with our laws and rules, and the rules that are regimental rules where people have to follow. So this is the kind of a background that Longfellow kind of goes with, and I want to go further into this. His essay, The Speluncean Explorers, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but we will discuss it even further. What is fascinating about the case is that there's so many arguments that Longfellow hypothetically brings out positive law, state of nature, state of society. When should a law stop to apply to a human being? Or should never stop? It should always apply. It should always. So, for example, when explorers that go out into space, should the astronauts apply? Should the law apply to them the same way that when they are down on the Earth? And so these are the questions that we'll attempt to answer. All right, thank you, and I hope we just got a little, little discussion going. All right. I will be posting more about Speluncean and exploring all the different arguments and what Longfellow discusses in there. Thank you.